Hello, everybody. My name is Sean Caro, and I'm alongside Vinny Massacol on a brand new episode, the first episode of this week in MLB, episode one. This is SNV Sports. How are you doing today, Vinny?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's good to finally get back, you know, back in the swing and get back with you to talk sports, man. This is going to be a nice journey along. This is the one of
So,
many, my friend.
before we start, I think that there's the best way we should go about this. Why don't we introduce ourselves? So, a lot of people may not know who we are. So, I'll let you start first. Who is Vinny Massacol?
I am Vinny Mascal. I am actually going to the College of Staten Island for my journalism degree. I have broadcast along with you the Staten Island Ferry Hawks last year. Um, and I'm just one of those guys that enjoys sports. I've been watching sports and just um, being able to understand sports since I was at a very young age, and I've been going to games and all that, and a huge Yankee fan, and I know a lot of our listeners. Uh, just I want them to call me on like being a homer because I am a Yankee fan, a Knicks fan, a Rangers fan, and a Jets fan. So if you guys want to call me on my on my BS per se, you can, because I will offer a little bit of a homer perspective sometimes because hey,
Hey,
that's what we do, right?
but
So
the one thing you're going to learn about us, we do not care if
yeah,
you
yeah,
agree or disagree.
right,
We are going to tell you how we feel, and
right,
you tell us how you feel,
right.
and we'll debate on that.
That's what the United States is all about, man. It's
Exactly.
about
Freedom,
debate.
freedom of speech.
Right, right,
So,
exactly.
my name, as I mentioned before, is Sean Cacaro. I used to go to the College of Staten Island. Me and Vinny, of course, are former broadcasters for the Staten Island Ferry Hawks. We did that for about one season. I'd say it was probably one of the most fun projects I've ever got to work on with Staten Island's only FM radio station, WSIA, Staten Island 88.9 FM. And for those who may recognize us, if you do live in the Staten Island, New York City area, yes, we are that show. We were known as the Fan Cave. We were on every Sunday and occasionally Fridays for Staten Island's only sports talk show, which to me is like such an honor just to say, because how many people could say that they pretty much that sports talk ran through us, through our borough. We were the only ones on Staten Island. To me, that may not sound like a lot to New Yorkers, but if you tell somebody that, like say in Ohio, they're gonna think, "Wow, that's amazing." That's I don't know if you agree, Vinny. That's how I look at it. To me,
Well,
it's
yeah. Well, the fact that we were on so early in the morning too, that had
yeah,
we
8 a.m.
we were on really early. So I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, I'm hoping a lot of some people listened, but who knows?
Well, we hope some of those listeners come back for us. So again, just to kind of wrap up who I am a diehard sports fan. A lot of people know me as a New York sports fan. I grew up diehard Yankee fan, diehard Knicks fan, diehard Rangers fan. But when it comes to football, I am a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Trying to point towards the
Boo!
I am a
Just
Steelers
kidding.
fan.
Just kidding.
Yeah, that's understandable. But I am also a diehard Steelers fan, so you'll learn more about that when we get to our other episodes. And fun fact about me, I get a lot of jokes about this. I do not care. I'm also a diehard NASCAR fan. So, that's just something I'm very proud of, and that drives a lot of people crazy. A lot of people ask me, "How can you watch cars drive in circles?" But to me, I love it. I'm easily entertained. I don't know what to tell you there. So,
I always liken it to the what was the guy? Who's the guy that does the puppets? Uh,
Jeff Dunham,
Jeff Dunham,
yeah.
the Bubba. He's like another left turn, and then he done another left turn, and then he just it's
uh,
kind of the what I like in NASCAR too. But to each his own, and
exactly.
NASCAR is it's exciting and it's watched by a ton of
It's
people.
the
So
largest viewing audience in sports when it comes to people in attendance. Those
right,
races can average anywhere from 60 to 120,000 people. I think the Daytona 500, obviously, as of recording today, is a week from today. think they're
Yep,
expecting about
right,
150,000 people. So
right around Super Bowl time, right after the Super Bowl, usually we go into NASCAR, correct? That's when,
exactly,
yeah, okay,
like I said, a week from today, as of recording, is the Daytona
yeah.
500. So
I'm surprised they don't like do a race like right after the Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl is very late now, so.
yeah, that's true. Remember, Super Bowl used to be the first week of February.
And it
So
was earlier in the day.
yes, exactly.
So anyway,
So let's get down to business. This is a baseball episode.
it
So
is, it is.
being that we are so close to baseball season, I think we as of recording, we are 11 days away from the first spring training game between the Dodgers and the Padres. First,
Yes.
let's look back at how we've gotten to this point. And the first topic I'd like to discuss is let's take a look back at this past off season. This was honestly one of the biggest off seasons we've had in recent memory, in my opinion. And I want to look at the five biggest transactions that took place. I'm sure we probably missed a few, and if we did, let us know. But these are our five biggest, our five favorite, however you want to look at that. So the first one I want to talk about is, being that we're Yankee fans, we'll start with the Juan Soto trade. So Vinny, first off, what were your thoughts on the whole deal when it first happened?
My honest thought was I thought of it. I think I analyzed it a little too much. I think I said to myself, he's only going to be here 1 year. And
Mm-hmm.
that was my main takeaway. And I it's tough, man. You gotta I I wanted to think of it as like I wanted to be excited about it. And I kind of was because we're getting probably one of the other than Judge in my opinion, and obviously like Shohei, but probably one of the other premier players in the league. And then pairing them up, that's another thing. But I didn't think about that right away. Right
Mm-hmm.
away, it was like, we're only going to get him for 1 year. What is the rest of what is it going to look like? Because we have been hoodwinked by
Yes.
Brian Cashman over the years. And I think that I wanted this trade to lead to other things, and I guess it did, but I I I don't know. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm excited this year to see what Judge and Soto can do in that lineup. But that wasn't my first reaction to this trade.
Mm-hmm. So the way I look at it is, I'm a huge fan of this trade, and obviously a lot of Yankee fans are. And there's a reason for that. And it's not just because we are getting, in my opinion, I won't say the best, but one of the best and the youngest players in the game right now. Juan Soto obviously has incredible talent. He has incredible power. The way I look at it, it's a sense of urgency for the Yankees because we may only have him for a year. That's just the honest fact, is we might only have him for a year. So the way the Yankees need to look at this is, all right, we may only have him for a year. We have to make this a World Series or bust year. That obviously should be the goal regardless, but it hasn't felt that way. It hasn't felt that way for a long time, in my opinion. It feels like the last couple of years, it's, oh, got to the playoffs, made some extra money in people coming to the games in October. All right, we're content with that. That's how it feels to me. They have yet to prove to me that this is a team that is truly considered as World Series or bust anymore. I don't know if that's the same standard anymore. So,
That was never actually the edict was changed, if you
mm,
recall. Because when Cashman was asked, he said, "Well, we made the playoffs. We won 100 games." Or the year before, what did they win? Did they win 100? I'm not 100% sure.
I
My
believe
memory.
so, 90 to 100, but
They
I think
won
it was.
90 to 100 games the year before. Um, but it was okay. We made the playoffs, and then a bunch of excuses. So number one, I got tired of the excuses of everybody being hurt.
Yeah,
Because
that's.
that's not an excuse, and we'll talk about that in the NFL when we talk about the New York Jets. But
Mhm.
um, that's never an excuse. It's a reason why, but it's never an excuse for
Next
not
man up.
succeeding. But it is next man up,
It has to be.
and that's I. But I wanted to see now. Now the Verdugo trade came first, correct?
Yes.
Before
And
this
I
deal.
remember, Yes, and a lot of people were very upset because they thought, all right,
because
well,
they thought this is going to be the deal.
that's the deal. Yeah, that's exactly how
And
people
I
thought.
can't lie, I thought the same thing.
Yeah,
So,
I did too. Trust
yeah,
me, I wasn't happy about it, but now,
yeah.
like I said, I wish they'd fix the pitching problem, but when it comes to the offense, I feel good about this team. Like I said, yes, I have a lot of concerns right now about the pitching staff, which we'll probably get to in another episode. But I just I hope that this puts that sense of urgency because what scares me about this Soto deal is the fact that if Soto really does love New York, and we obviously know he's a Boris guy,
Mhm.
and Boris is going to get him as much money as possible. If the Yankees aren't willing to pay that, but Soto likes New York, there's a guy looming just 8 miles east in Flushing, Queens, who would be happy to have Juan Soto. What do you think? We lose you, Vinny? We lose Vinny?
Hello?
There
Okay.
you are.
I'm
Okay,
back.
we're good.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was trying to mute myself back and forth, but
Oh, okay. You're
probably
all
shouldn't
good.
probably shouldn't have done that, but anyway. Um but yeah, having Uncle Steve over there in Queens, um that does scare me a little bit, but you saw how all that money even that they spent didn't translate last
Yeah,
year.
true.
And it doesn't have to do with him. It has to do with that organization. But we can go over that at another time when we
Yeah.
go over our, team by team thing.
Yes.
Um, but I, it's going to be. I can't see the Yankees and we're going to talk about this when we go to the Yamamoto deal. But I can't see the Yankees offering Soto like 500 or 600.
I
Because
agree.
because Shohei got 7, right?
Yes.
So what is Soto going to demand? You know, I just
That's what
can't see
scares
him.
me.
I just can't see them giving him what he wants as far as that goes, and having to because they're still paying Cole, they're still paying Judge, and it's not like in the NFL where you could like you know
Hmm.
um I mean I guess you could. I mean, you can in MLB rework contracts? They won't let you do that. So
Yeah.
um it's not like you could just kind of like push it, and we'll talk about the Shoei deal because I think it's ridiculous. But anyway,
Yeah.
um I just think that this is a 1 year thing, but we haven't really done anything with the pitching staff, and you know, it scares me. And I know everybody's saying Stroman, but I don't know if that's going to be enough.
I agree. I agree 1,000%. So the next deal, you already kind of alluded to it. We'll move on.
Mhm. Yeah.
Shohei and Yamamoto. I'm putting that
Uh-huh.
into one because obviously
I have a ton to say about this deal.
so do I. But
So
I'll let you go
go ahead.
first.
So when I first heard this deal, 700 million over 10 years, I kind of wasn't surprised. But what I was surprised about was the amount of money that was deferred
Yeah, I
for
think
another
everybody
10
was.
years, which means now obviously I think I mean not the Angels, I'm sorry. The Dodgers are getting charged on their luxury tax for about 40 something million of this deal. Um the thing about it is that this is basically a 20-year deal if you think about it,
Yeah.
because it goes 10 years and then all the other money is, and I don't know how that's going to work if he ends up wanting to leave in 10 years.
The way I look at it,
Um
it could be Bobby Bonilla Day 2.0.
I mean, he's going to get 68 million for 10 years after. So he's only making 2 years. And you think about the brand of Shohei, he's going
Mm-hmm.
to make enough money in branding alone and ads and
Like,
all
of
that stuff,
course.
and
Especially being in my opinion, the second biggest market in America, if not the
right.
world, in Los
Right.
Angeles.
So the Shohei thing to me was like I mean, I knew the Yankees weren't gonna be in it, or although I heard there were rumors that they were, that he had talked to them, but I don't know how serious that was because of the price. But I don't know, maybe, and if because from what I heard, everybody was offered the same deal,
Yes.
and only the Dodgers were the ones to pick it up because I think maybe the Yankees didn't want that hanging over their heads for 10 years as well.
Yeah.
And then the Yamamoto thing, the Yankees offered 300 million. The Blue Jays were used.
Yes.
You got to admit that.
Yes,
And the
definitely.
and the the Mets offered the same exact deal. They were never in the running. I think they just put that name out there, or the Mets did,
Yeah.
just to prove to the fans, like, "Hey, we made an offer to Yamamoto."
Mhm.
But the the contracts were equal,
Yeah.
and he decided to go to the Dodgers. What does that tell you, Mets
Mhm.
fans? I apologize. I'm sorry. That's kinda just the way it goes. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but yeah, I thought we may have him as far as the Yankees go, but it was I think with Shohei going to the Dodgers, I thought Yamamoto's going to go there too. I don't think that whole thing about two Japanese players playing on that's a bunch of horse crap. I don't
Yeah.
think that ever was in consideration. I think they wanted to play together and
Mhm.
they got their wish.
Yeah. So the way I look at these two deals with Shohei and Yamamoto, I'll start with Shohei first. And the biggest thing that just bothers me about this deal, if I'm a Dodgers fan, to me, I hate to say this because I have a lot of respect for Otani. You're getting damaged goods. The man
Yeah,
cannot stay on the field. He can't
that's a
keep
good
this
point.
pace up.
That's a
And
good point.
that's exactly why I didn't want the Yankees to get him in the first place, is we knew he
Uh,
was very injury prone.
I wanted him, man. I'm sorry. I hate to
I,
tell you. I did want him.
and a lot of
Just
people
because of his
did.
bat, his left-handed bat.
Well,
Put
and
him in that lineup in Yankee Stadium
that's a
and
big thing,
forget it, man.
but again, if he can't stay on the field, what good is he?
I
That
get it. I
that's
get it.
my problem with this deal is you spent $700 million
Mhm.
on a guy to both pitch and hit, and he's
Mhm.
not even pitching this year. He can't pitch. Yet he's injured. You
Even
know,
with that deal, you wouldn't have taken him to pay him $2,000,000 per year? I mean, even though it would have cost us like 46 of our, luxury tax or
I wouldn't
48.
have done it
Yeah.
because it's not guaranteed. I'm see. Here's the way I look at this, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this. But my problem is if he continues to try to start and hit, he's
Mhm.
not going to have a long career. He may not last to the end of that deal.
I don't think he's gonna finish that out pitching
I
10
don't
years.
either. The
I
only
doubt it.
way I think he finishes that deal out is if he decides to move to the pen. That's the
That was
only
talked
way.
about. That was
But
talked about.
I don't think
He
it's ever going
can.
to happen.
No, I think I don't know about that. Give him like 5 years and then see where his arm is
Hmm.
and see if the Dodgers can, like, talk him into it maybe. Maybe that would be, that might be, a thing because remember you got Roki Sasaki also
Yes.
in Japan,
Hmm.
and the Dodgers are linked to him too, and he's like one of the from what I hear and from what I saw at the World Baseball Classic,
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be better than Yamamoto,
I
actually.
agree.
Yeah,
I agree a thousand
yeah,
percent.
yeah.
But again, that's how I look at the Shohei deal is the Dodgers, they may have just gotten one of, if not the best player in the game right now,
Mhm.
but for how long? How long is he going to be able to sustain
Yeah,
this?
I mean,
You know,
it's a
it's
good point. It's a good point.
especially now you're adding some extra wear and tear because the Dodgers
Mhm.
are obviously a playoff team, whereas the Angels were anything but a playoff team.
Mm,
So now you're adding extra playing time,
right,
extra pitching time.
right.
How long can he do it? And you know what? If he proves me wrong, good. I hope he
Mhm.
does. I like Shohei. I'd like to see him prove me wrong. But I have so many concerns about this, and I think that's exactly why I didn't want the Yankees to get him.
Right.
It's that simple. As the Yankees have enough injury problems as it is.
Yeah,
Why add another injured piece?
I
That's been
I get it.
Cashman's specialty as over the last couple years. So
We have been injury prone the last few seasons
yes,
for sure.
ever since Boone's taken over, which I find that
Yeah.
to be,
Yep.
but that's its own thing. And then
Right.
as far as the Yamamoto deal comes, I wasn't surprised when I saw he obviously used us and the Mets as leverage. I think, see, the one thing that's caught me a little off guard recently, and I'll ask what you think of this. You look at several years ago when we had Japanese talent coming over, they had no problem going anywhere in America.
Yeah, Tanaka was
Why
one of the ones. Yeah,
why
Tanaka was the last one.
all of a sudden now
Mhm.
are the players deciding they'd rather just, I get why, because they want to be closer to home,
Mhm.
going to LA or a Seattle, whatnot.
Yeah.
I just wonder, why that's happening now. Whereas you look at, like a Tanaka or Hiroki Kuroda, who I think just got inducted into the Japanese Hall of Fame. Congrats, Hiroki Kuroda. Um, just how come all of a sudden these guys now only want to play on the West Coast? I feel like it's just strange to me. I don't know if you noticed that too. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, I did, except for the Masahiro Yoshida on Boston.
Okay, yeah.
When he signed, he didn't really. I don't think he really cared about. But I see where you're going with that, and I've heard the same thing. Obviously, it's
Hmm.
one of those things where they are closer, and I remember I was living in Seattle when the Mariners signed Ichiro,
Yes,
and
I love Ichiro.
the reason that was not really the major. I mean, that was one of the reasons he signed with the Mariners. I mean, but
Hmm.
one of the reasons he signed with the Mariners was because there is a huge Japanese population in Seattle.
Yes.
Um, and um, that because I think that kind of threw everybody off guard too, because like they're like Seattle,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
you know like they were never a team that was that other than like obviously they were good.
Yes.
But they've never been I mean, when they were a contender, obviously, you know, they
Hmm.
they could never get they could never get past the Yankees. They couldn't get over the hump, basically.
Exactly.
But he chose the Mariners anyway. But I think this whole thing about them being on the West Coast, I don't know. I think that might be like a personal, individual thing. I don't think that's like every Japanese player.
Yeah. It's just
You know?
it's strange to me that all of a sudden
And
that's
I
the
think
case now.
and I think you're only hearing about it just because Shohei made it so public about
Well,
being
yeah,
on the West
that's
Coast. So,
also true. So
but I think that's the main deal.
to move along, we'll talk about one other Dodger deal, which I thought was interesting, was the Tyler Glasnow to the Dodgers, and I wanted to get your thoughts on what you were thinking and what you could expect with his time in the Dodgers. Now, knowing that he doesn't have to be the number one anymore, knowing that he's got Yamamoto and eventually Shohei ahead of him, what was your take on this whole deal?
Well, the first thing is yeah, get him out of the American League East. That was the first.
Very
But
true. Don't
you
forget they
talk
also
about
got Manuel Margot.
they got Manuel Margot, right? But you talk about damaged goods. Um, you know, has Glasnow stayed healthy the last ever
Nope.
since they changed the fact that you couldn't use sticky stuff anymore? His
Yeah.
his total, and we haven't. I mean, have we really seen him without? Now, I'm not saying that he was using it, but the presumption is that he did because he was so
Very
out there
good.
with his. I mean, he was like out there with his like he was like, you're gonna see guys like messing up their arms, and then
Mhm.
what happened to him, right?
Right.
So, um, you know, it's really hard to think that you have now Yamamoto, you have, next year you'll have obviously Shohei, but then and a part with this too is that you re-signed Kershaw. So
Yeah.
so now you have Glasnow and Kershaw, but if those two don't pitch or don't pitch the
Well,
way they should, the Dodgers might be in trouble pitching wise. And I
I
and I
agree.
think that I don't think they should have. I mean, it was a great deal for them, but I think you take a risk
Mhm.
with this deal. I think they probably, if they were giving out money, I don't know. I'm not a huge Blake Snell fan, but
Right.
the guy doesn't go more than 5 innings. So, um, but I think you have the bullpen to kind of absorb that,
Yeah.
having him go five, every
But
fifth day.
see,
But
that's the thing. That's how you end up wearing that bullpen down is if your
yeah,
pitchers are only getting you 5 innings,
and that's one of the
that's
reasons I don't want Snell on the Yankees either.
yeah, me too.
But that's a different story. But the Glasnow deal, I I don't know. It's. I mean, I guess I'm copping out on it. I'm not 100% sure that this is going to be a great deal for the Dodgers, but
Mhm.
if he stays healthy, obviously, and that again, another cop out. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, if he stays healthy, but it's true.
It is true.
But I don't know. I'm actually more. I want to get your word on it because I'm just thinking damaged goods, and that's it pretty much.
Well, and I agree with you 1,000%. I think it is a situation of damaged goods, and you bring up a great point. If he can't stay on the field either, Shohei obviously can't be on the field. What's left of your rotation?
Right. I mean, you have a Buell Walker Bueller who's coming back from an injury.
Exactly.
So you have Yamamoto and who else? I mean, you
There's not
traded
much.
away, yeah, you gave away Gonsolin, right? Gonsolin's not there anymore.
Exactly.
So you know, eh, I don't know. I think that if there's one Achilles heel of this team,
Hmm.
I think it may be the pitching staff.
I agree.
Um, that's the one thing that
If
everybody's
it's
like crowning them right now, but we'll
if
see.
it's not the pitching staff, it's going to be health. That's
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing.
yeah,
So moving along, got two
yeah,
more deals
yeah.
to
Two
talk
more.
about. We'll talk
Yep.
about first Josh Hader going to the Astros. Way I look at it when that deal got signed, I was not a happy camper.
Yeah, I was. Well, yeah,
I wanted
I
him
agree.
here in New York.
I
Well,
agree with that.
I'm not in New York anymore, but with the Yankees. But
Mhm.
what's your take on the Josh Hader deal?
I wanted him. I was after. So here's what I thought about. Do you remember the issue he had with pitching more than an inning
No,
in San Diego?
not off the top of my head.
He was called in to pitch like an extra out or two,
Hmm.
and he said, "Well, I only pitch one inning."
I did
That
not remember that.
Yeah, there's
I'll
if
look
you look
into
it
that
up,
after the stream.
yeah, if you look at that, he did say, and he said it, he kind of doubled down on it too.
Yeah.
Um, I think that that's the reason why the Yankees didn't pick him up. I
Hmm.
think I think because the way Boone is going to use his bullpen and the way Boone uses his bullpen, I think, I think a lot of teams actually shied away from that because
Yeah.
you don't want to pitch one more, two more outs.
Hmm.
You know, what
Yeah.
if you're in a jam in the eighth inning and
Right.
we need you to pitch? I don't ever remember hearing Mariano Rivera ever say, "Hey, no, I'm only
I
gonna
don't
pitch
feel
an
like
inning."
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and he said it had to do with like, I don't know, all kinds of other stuff, like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
whether he's mentally not, you know, cool with just going over an inning. I don't know. But I think I kind of was like, yeah, I kind of wanted him, but then thought about it and I said, I don't want a guy that can't
Yeah.
go more than an inning.
I
That's
can
the
get behind that.
you know, and maybe I'll if we have time, maybe I can bring up the story about Hater.
All right. Well, we're almost
Yeah,
wrapped up. So
yeah,
the way I looked at it was it obviously is going to hurt the Yankees in some sort of way. One, because still have Clay Holmes.
hmm
Anyway,
right,
kidding around, of course. But um, Josh Hader obviously going to, in my opinion, right now, our biggest rival in the American League. I know that could be up for debate. That's just how I look at it.
right,
And, if the Yankees are in a game 7 situation, they got to go up against Hader in the ninth inning. That's going to be tough to overcome. And that's what kind of worries me a little bit. But right now, obviously, we just got to get there. I know we bring the
right,
Yankees into this a lot, but that's our team.
right,
Um, Again, so I think it's a good deal for Hader because he's going to a team that we know is going to be competing for a World Series. He's going to get to pitch in those big spots. But like you said, if he doesn't want to go more than an inning, he's not going to last very long in Houston. People in
right.
Houston will not want him there forever. So
Well,
that's
here's part of the when asked of his thinking behind not making himself available for 4 outs, and this is on MLB.com.
mm-hmm,
On Monday, which was in September, or really at any point down the stretch, Hader said it's the situation that we were at. Now it goes on to say that the comment required some clarification and context. Earlier in the season, after Padres had lost games in which Hader was unavailable, both Hader and manager Bob Melvin indicated that those decisions were made with a big picture in mind. They needed a healthy Hader for the stretch. And
right,
yet, in the season's final week in the same spot, called he called on him. Hader wasn't used. Hader wasn't used, so why not now? What happened to the plan? Are we in the playoff race? Hader asked rhetorically. Hader is a pending free agent. Um, he said it had nothing to do with the off season. It's the now, it's the health, it's the making. So I don't want to. Honestly, I'm not.
Looking
I
back at
wasn't.
it
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
may have been better off.
yeah,
Yeah, there were obviously already its risks about who he is in the locker room, stuff like that. So
yeah. So anyway,
we'll
that's
see.
kind of the one of the reasons.
And then the last one we'll look at, we'll go back within the American League East. Corbin Burns, a Baltimore Oriole. Now, I wanted to get your thoughts on this real fast as to why he's not a Yankee. Because the Yankees did make an offer. The Yankees were unwilling to give up right field prospect Spencer Jones. This
Mhm.
infuriates me, first off, as a Yankees
I,
fan. Because you look at the outfield, you look at the depth we have. Verdugo, Judge,
right, right,
Soto,
right,
and you're not willing to give up a prospect who I think didn't even make it to Double A yet.
right,
You got to be kidding me.
right.
So
And
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 you just
add Dominguez
add
onto that too.
Dominguez,
Yeah,
and now you just made, in my opinion, the best team in the division that much stronger. All
right.
they needed was pitching, and the Yankees
Hmm.
gave them that because they wouldn't give up a prospect who's still playing in Hudson Valley. No disrespect to the Renegades.
Right.
It just infuriates me. That's immediately what I thought when I heard the reports come out. Look, I'm not dissing Spencer Jones. I think he has the potential to be a great right fielder, but Yankees don't
He's
need a right fielder.
yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
Uh, when I heard about the Spencer Jones thing, I kind of that's I mean, this is Brian Cashman in a nutshell, right?
Exactly.
His unwillingness to trade any of the guys, like the big guys. Like Spencer Jones is going to be, in my eyes, is going to be very good.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that to get a guy like Corbin Burns, but I think they may have been thinking, well, we're not going to have Soto. We may not have Soto next year. But I know Spencer Jones is probably a few years away, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's hard to say why, but you have to just look at Brian Cashman in general. That's kind of the one thing. He's not going to give up Dominguez. He's not going to give up Spencer Jones now, obviously.
Yeah.
But he was willing to give away like Michael King and other pieces
Yeah.
to trade for a 1 year Juan Soto.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. It's I kind of understand why he did it. I don't like the reasoning, but um, and there's other teams that could have had him too, though.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, the Dodgers were going after him too, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll just repeat what Aaron Boone said on the John Boy show,
Mhm.
and when he found out that Corbin Burns was, he's like, well, that's going to be a problem
Yeah,
because
because it
now
is.
now Baltimore has, if you look at their pitching staff, Burns, Grayson Rodriguez,
Mhm.
and Gibson, right?
Yes.
And then that bullpen.
Mhm.
So, I mean, and then whoever your 4 and 5 starters are, really.
Exactly. Mhm.
But I don't know. I just think that this is going to be it's going to be a problem for the Yankees, and I don't. I again, I understand Brian Cashman because we've dealt with it before. I mean, I guess you could be angry like you, but and I'm not telling you not to be angry because I never tell anybody how to feel.
Yeah.
But you had to know that
Yeah.
that if that was the deal, that he was gonna nix it because he just has this thing about certain guys in the farm that he's not
Mhm.
going to trade. And now I guess Spencer Jones is one of them that we can say if anybody asks for him, unless it's like somebody huge, huge,
Yeah.
which I think Corbin Burns kind of qualifies, I would think. But
Mhm.
unless Philly's trading, you know, what's his name away, Bryce Harper.
Yeah. That ain't
But
happening.
even then, he's kind of long in the tooth too.
You gotta be
So
careful how loud you say that. You gotta remember, I'm back in the Philly market, so
I know, but but yeah, but I mean, do I like it? No. Do I understand it? Where it's coming from? Yeah, I do.
Mhm. All
So
right. So that'll pretty much wrap that segment up. Still got a little bit to get to before we do
Hmm.
end this one.
Yep.
And the next topic I'd like to talk about, and we're going to talk about the Oakland A's. And right now, big news coming out of Vegas is I believe it was their mayor saying, you know what, we don't want to tear the Tropicana down for you. Go
Yep.
somewhere else. Find a
Yep.
deal back in the Bay Area. That's
Hmm.
summarized of what they were saying out there. So
Hmm.
the A's plans could be in jeopardy. What is your take on this?
Um, good for Las Vegas.
I agree, 1,000%.
Um, have you ever been to the? Have you ever been to the Las Vegas Strip?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm
Let
hoping
me.
too soon. Now that I'm
Okay.
21.
Putting a ballpark by that Tropicana site. You think traffic here is bad?
Yeah,
Traffic there would be insane. And that's the logistics that they're talking about. Plus, um, I mean, there's other things involved too that I'm not 100%, you know, I'm looking at the article right now in the Athletic.
yes.
Um, but I just think, a legal challenge threatens the public funding of the new ballpark in Las Vegas. The logistics of fitting a dome facility and a nine in the not on the onto the 9-acre Tropicana site are in
Mhm.
question, as as is the timetable for completing construction by the park's scheduled opening in 28. Um, they're gonna have some. The A's are gonna have to make some decisions quick
I agree.
because
They
with
only have a year, and then they're
yeah,
homeless.
it's yeah,
They only have a
you
year
know,
left in Oakland. That's the
and also
interesting
you got to
part.
remember that the mayor, she wants the A's to stay in Oakland.
Yeah.
How much of this you think is like the A's officials, or not the A's officials, the Oakland officials talking to the mayor and saying, "Hey, if you can make this as hard as possible, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Well,
we might be able to help you out." Not
the,
saying that there's anything nefarious going on,
we're
but
just we're playing a
hey,
guessing
listen,
game here.
I went through the Sonics leaving
Yeah.
leaving the state of Washington. That was no,
Oh, I can imagine.
innocent deal.
Yeah.
And it's been proven. So there's other stuff, but A's fans, you may get your wish. Maybe the A's are staying. Um,
So here's how I look at this. Obviously, the city of Vegas now is I'm a little surprised. Obviously, you mentioned the logistical nightmare, which I can get behind, especially maybe it's different from the way we look at it because you currently live in New York. I lived in New York. We
uh
have such a big public transportation system to get us to Yankee Stadium and or City Field. Vegas and a lot of other smaller cities don't have that. And
mhm.
that also creates a nightmare because not everybody wants to drive to the ballpark. Not everybody wants to pay $50 to go to the to park at the ballpark and then go. And it's interesting that you bring that up because I still find it that it'd be more profitable for them, for Major League Baseball and for the A's to go because yeah, the A's wouldn't have a core fan base anymore, but you'd be bringing in away fans every single game. And you look at the Raiders, for example. Yeah, obviously, we know the Raiders have a diehard fan base, but you look at when they're bad, that's
Mhm.
all away fans, whether it was the Steelers going there, the Niners, the Chiefs,
Right.
Broncos, whoever, they were always taking over the stadium. And I think that's exactly what would happen in MLB. Especially if you're a National League team and you're only going there every other year, you could be a Mets fan and be like, you know what? We have an opportunity to take a 2, 3 day vacation out in Vegas.
Right.
So, profit wise, MLB's got to be upset with this. But for the city of Oakland, you're still not in the clear yet to keep the A's. And the reason I
Right.
say that is you look at another city that's actually pulling to get the A's, Salt Lake City. Somebody
Mhm.
put up a billboard saying, "Come to Salt Lake City Athletics," and it had the A's logo or something like that. So the city of Salt Lake City wants the A's. So even if the A's don't stay in Oakland, they
Mhm.
have other options. It's a matter of is John Fisher willing to explore those options,
Right.
knowing that they are no longer possibly going to a big market like Las Vegas. So
Well, yeah.
I still
S-
I feel bad for the city of Oakland, but I just don't think
So let
that.
me I'm gonna sorry, I'm gonna
You're all good.
Mayor Tao is the mayor of Oakland who wants the team to stay. Mayor Carolyn Goodman was quoted in a podcast interview with Front Office Sports saying she believes the A's plan at the Tropicana site don't make sense because of traffic concerns, which is what I just said.
Yes.
Adding the team should stay in Oakland. You don't think that mayor was talking to Carolyn Goodman, the mayor of Las Vegas?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
if everything is right here in this article, um, Tao's like saying, you know, John Fisher, sell the team. If it's
Hmm.
not you, it's someone else. And they have a spot apparently. I've never seen this Howard Terminal.
Oh, you haven't
I'm
seen
looking
that?
at a picture. I'm looking at a picture of it.
Yeah.
I have a picture of it. I have a drone shot of it. I
Hmm.
mean, it looks like a nice site right on the water there.
See, the
Um,
problem is, we all know,
so
a lot of people know about this. The problem is the Athletics want the city of Oakland to pay for it. And to
mm,
me, and first off, I'm going to emphasize it up. We're not making this into a political show, but
no,
the city of Oakland is in such a rough state right now that
yeah,
they're literally being given money by the government in DC just for their city to function properly. So now you're going to ask them to build a $2 billion stadium? That'd be political suicide. That's
right,
that's the problem with them staying in Oakland, and that's why John Fisher's not going to pay $2 billion for a stadium over there. They're just
right,
not. They're going to
right,
go somewhere where they're not going to have to pay the full amount for that stadium, whether it is Salt Lake City or somewhere
hmm,
else. I just don't see the possibility of them staying in Oakland a reality. As much as
right.
I want them to stay in Oakland, I think everybody does because we know the A's have a passionate fan base. If they didn't play in such a garbage stadium,
Yeah,
they
they need
wouldn't be where they are
right,
attendance wise.
right,
That's
right.
the thing. People try, and I've seen pro Vegas A's people saying, "Oh,
Hmm.
well, they've been bottom of the league in attendance for 20 something." Well, look at the stadium they play in. It's a football stadium.
Right, right.
There's no other way to look at it. So again, I want them to stay in Oakland. I'm sure you do as well, but I just don't think it's possible unless they stay in that stadium. But I don't think it's going to happen. And honestly, how do you bring back the fans of Oakland after
Hmm.
you smacked them in the face the last 2 years? I mean, they were averaging 4,000, maybe not that low, but around 8,000 tickets sold a game.
Right.
There's minor league teams with higher average attendances, and I'm not kidding when I say that. You can look it up.
Well,
So
and again, it's not as I'm reading this too, and I was listening to you. Um, it's not just the area; it's also the way they got the money.
yeah.
There's a lawsuit. Um, they approved 380 million to fund the ballpark, but a teachers union backed political action committee sued the state and Governor Joe Lombardo on Monday from this article,
Hmm.
attacking the legality of the bill that created the public money. So it's all public funds, and I don't
Yeah.
know,
Like I
you know,
said, if the city of Oakland can't even get their own city to function, what makes you think they could build a stadium?
yeah.
It's as
I mean,
simple as that.
I don't think they're going to get I don't think they're going to get support for a new stadium in Oakland.
It's a sad
Unfortunately,
situation. Yeah.
but yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
to cap off our first episode, I would like to shift gears to a more positive note.
Hmm.
As as of the time of this recording, spring training officially starts this week. Pitchers and catchers will be reporting over the next couple days.
Yes.
And as I mentioned earlier, first game is the 22nd between the Dodgers and the Padres. Reason they're starting so early, if you remember, they would be starting the season out in Seoul, South Korea.
Hmm.
So going into spring training, just tell me, what are three things you are looking forward to most? It could be anything from just a particular matchup to position
Um,
battles, just anything. What are you looking forward to
um,
for spring training?
well, the the first thing I'm looking forward to, um, and I'm going to be a homer here, is how and where Juan Soto fits in the Yankee lineup. Um, that's kind of the one thing that I'm looking forward to of anything. But I guess if I had to pick a second thing, um, Can Texas unseat Houston? I mean, they won the World Series, but can they consistently be a thorn in the side of Houston consistently this year as well?
That's going to be interesting.
Um, that is what that's the second thing. Because I'm definitely looking out west to see, because I think the Mariners have kind of fallen off. I think they're looking to trade Castillo, I believe.
Hmm.
And I think that team is kind of like forming themselves. They traded Eugenio Suarez away, which okay.
Yeah.
He did not play well. He struck out more times than anything else. And he
Hmm.
was not good there. Um, and also, you know what? In your backyard, I want to see how the Phillies kind of react to losing in that
Being upset.
heartbreaking series against Arizona, and
Yes.
see if they can again get back to the playoffs
Hmm.
and make some noise. Because I know how much we don't like Philadelphia,
Yeah.
but you got to admit that stadium, and I'll admit it too.
Hmm.
If they're playing a series with anybody and they have home field, and even though I know they lost, um,
That's one
good
of the
luck.
best
Good
atmospheres in
luck trying to
baseball.
yeah, good luck trying to beat them for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
There's a
yeah.
reason, actually, and I'll even invite you too if you'd like. There's a
Mhm.
reason I want to go down to Philly for the Yankees
Right,
Philly series later this year.
right,
I'm looking
right.
forward to it. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to as well. Obviously, just seeing baseball again. I think that's
Mhm.
we're all craving it. Obviously, I got it a little bit earlier. I was watching the Caribbean series earlier this week because, um, obviously, I'm a. I shouldn't say obviously. A lot of you may not know me. I am part Puerto Rican, so I enjoy watching those tournaments, seeing those young guys competing
Yeah.
at such a high level. That was a lot of fun. But now I'm ready to get back to the professional level. And one of the few things I'm looking forward to again, seeing how a lot of new faces are going to perform this spring. Now, obviously, we know it's not going to really matter too much how they perform, but obviously, storylines can still be created from that.
Mhm.
So I'm curious to see how Shohei and Yamamoto are going to look in Dodger blue. Seeing did I say Soto or did I just say
Yeah.
Shohei
So,
and
yeah.
Yamamoto in Dodger blue? Seeing Soto in the pinstripes. There's a lot to look forward to.
Under the
One thing,
radar, Teoscar Hernandez also, by the way, that
yes,
he's there too. So,
we also do have some matchups to look forward to internationally. We'll see the Red Sox and the Rays playing down in the Dominican Republic,
mhm.
March 9th and the 10th. That's going to be fun to watch. I don't think that there's ever been a professional game down there in MLB, as far as I know. I don't know if
Mhm.
you remember off the top of your head. I don't think
I
there has
don't.
been.
I don't.
Um,
Cuba, didn't they play in Cuba at one point?
well, yes, that was when I guess the U.S. and Cuba made a deal. The Rays went
They made a
down,
deal. Yeah.
played a game,
Yep.
something along those lines. I do remember that. The Yankees are going to be going down to Mexico to wrap up
That's
spring
exciting.
training,
That's
play
exciting.
against, and it's such a cool matchup. Mexico's greatest team versus MLB's greatest team for a 2 game set. I really hope that the Yankees put a lot into those 2 games because yeah, they may not matter, but Mexico, they're gonna go all out for that series. They're gonna bring their best. That's their World Series. And being that the Yankees got the Astros 2 days later for opening day,
Mhm.
that's the Yankees should be looking at the all right, this is the closest we're going to get to a regular season type of game. Let's put everything into this. Let's see how our guys
Right.
perform in a big spot. So I'm looking forward to that series. If you're wondering, the team is I'm going to try my best not to butcher this. Diablos Rojos del Mexico. I think that's I think I got that right. I got to
I'm
practice
sure you're
that.
right. I'm sure you're right.
So I'm looking forward to that. And then the last thing I'll say, I might be flying a little under the radar because the regular season matchup doesn't happen until September. But remember, at the end of every spring training, the Freeway Series takes place. It'll be interesting to see what's going to be like seeing Shohei walking into Angel Stadium again. That I
Yeah.
kind of look forward to. I always like the end of spring training because then they start to play a couple exhibition games in the big league stadiums.
Yeah,
So
because the Dodgers open up against St. Louis in LA.
yes, so
Um,
I always do look forward to that series, and
yeah.
I'm curious to see what the crowd response is going to be like
You
when
surprised the
Shohei.
draw that we got was Houston and Houston for the first series of the Yankees? I'm just kind of
Yeah,
curious. I know I don't want to,
I
but
was too because
I thought that was a little curious. I was a little curious at
I don't
that.
like it because I'm watching the Yankees long enough. They never start the season off the greatest,
Yeah,
and
I don't.
we go to Houston then Arizona. That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
brutal, Brutal start for the Yankees. But also, again, remember, right in the middle of spring training, 2 opening day games between the Dodgers and the Padres out in Korea. 6:05 a.m. first pitch. So have fun waking up for those games. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Well, we'll go over, like, I'm sure, the schedule and how the standings are going to work. And I
Yes.
have the too soon power rankings, and
Mhm.
you know, I'll let you know where they have the Yankees, but
Yes. We'll
we'll go over that.
we'll get there.
Yeah.
So all right, that's gonna put a wrap to our first episode. I want to thank everybody that tunes in. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, all the whole 9 yards. Vinny, it was a pleasure.
Yep.
We'll get this uploaded shortly. I'm sure we can edit that out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
thank you everyone for watching. Appreciate you all. Love you all. And we'll see you next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Take care, everybody.